So hi Chelsea, this is wonderful. We are very happy to host you and to have you in the exhibition. We had one of your pieces in Mexico. This is the way the installation feels and looks like in the gallery at the Temiscamenar Gallery. So why don't you start telling us, Chelsea, a little bit about yourself and how do you feel about being part of the Sisigi project?
Firstly, I am born and raised in Northern Ontario. Went to school at OCAD University and graduated back in 2020, just as the pandemic was starting. Returned home and took a break from like the typical art that I was doing, which was oil paintings and encaustics, and really making all of my materials from the land. I found that it was a little bit difficult because like I didn't have the ventilation or the space to do it. So I kind of transitioned works. And I found my way into kind of textiles and what is more classed as like womanly craft. It was a nice little transition for me, easier to still make art. Um, and with that, I looked back on some of my family members, not a lot of them sew or do more quote unquote womanly crafts. I have my grandmother who is a hunter and fisher, kind of badass lady. And then my sister's like that, my mom's like that. And then I am not quite like that. So my grandmother, like I said, she's a very badass lady. She is Anishinaabe. We are members of Atikamek and Anishinaabe First Nations. So my grandmother like taught me a lot about being on the land in kind of more subtle ways when I was younger, and it didn't really kind of clue into me until I went to Toronto and was away from like the bush being just right outside my door. um, so that's when I started kind of looking back on some of those teachings and those learnings and started to really appreciate that. And so my grandmother, she's older now, and we're doing a lot of learning side by side together. And she's remembering some of the things that like her dad taught her. We've been on the land for quite some time, and um, she's taught me a lot about different plants. She tells me stories about gathering plants when she was younger. One of the chores that her and her siblings would have would be to go and pick wild strawberries. She when she tells it, she complains about how long it took because wild strawberries are so tiny. Like those stories really kind of put in perspective the slower paced living, if that makes sense, of back then versus now. Right now, everything is at our fingertips. Everything is so fast, like snap of the fingers, something's done. We're not really getting to be present in the moment. Like,
Back to the image that we have about the exhibition, and what do you think is the perception that people are going to have?
so coming at it from somebody who's like done some art that is similar in terms of like material work, I see the amount of time and effort that goes into that. It's more than just the final product. There's this whole process and behind it, and I definitely see that with these works. And when I walked in there, I'm like, oh, this is so much more than just that physical piece.
I have here also what it was your piece actually at the exhibition at the museum in Mazatlan. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's all needle felted, and there's a little bit of embroidery throughout it, and it's a hand with kind of like roots, and there's a wild rose flower there. My great grandmother had wild roses. My grandmother now has like a piece of that plant in her own garden. This plant that is so old and has been divided to share amongst family members. I called it Roots of Ada because my great grandmother's name was Ada. And that's kind of bringing in the roots. Roots for me are always like, I mean, obviously it's the foundations, it's the going into the soil, it's the strength part of a tree or a plant.
I'm going to jump
Yeah.
exactly with your piece that we have here at the exhibition.
Mhm.
I am very interested that you like words. What is the need of creating these words and include them into the process?
So in my art process, I do write alongside it. I kind of have this feeling of wanting to share that. In terms of this, it's a quilt block that is a star. Um, One of my favorite quilt pieces. The solid yellow there is actually fabric that's been naturally dyed with marigolds from one of my previous art projects that I've done. The other ones are all from my stash that have been either gifted to me or I've collected along the way. There's two sentences above that are done in beadwork. Saying it's okay to be soft. And being a woman, there's this idea that we are supposed to be quiet, we're supposed to be soft, we're supposed to be kind, we're supposed to be just level. And then below it, very hard to see, in like two strands of embroidery thread, is a sentence that said, and it's okay to be filled with effing rage. Being a woman right now in this time and seeing just these complete divides, it's okay to be soft and it's okay to feel things and feel those emotions and want to spread that love, but then it's also okay to be just angry at everything that is going on. Not to get like super political.
No, but it's okay. This project is political, so it's important that we talk about these subjects.
Yeah, everything in the world right now feels very not necessarily on a pause, but it feels like everything is going backwards, and somehow is also the most advanced that it's been. Like you see women are banding together and are working together to make sure that their voices are being heard, but then there's always two steps back in terms of government and politics and how women's autonomy are constantly being questioned.
We're moving and we're taking this project now to Brazil. Can you tell us what is your plan that you have for Brazil?
Created a piece that kind of revolved around like life and death, but then also Mother Earth being the first mother, basically, and how she's constantly nurtured and constantly taking care of us. And when we die, we go back to Mother Earth in some capacity, whether we are buried as full body and like our body gives back to that earth by nourishing with the bugs that carry us everywhere, or if it's which then could like nurture the soil. Like there's just so many different ways that we are returned to earth. So I've always had this idea that home or returning home is the land, is the soil.
It's returning to Mother Nature.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pretty good, yeah, I like it very much.
Having this is allowing us to connect to each other more, and hopefully that can cause a ripple effect, maybe just in the arts community, who knows, but yeah.
Wonderful, Chelsea. I really appreciate, enjoyed talking to you. I think the viewer will get a little more of understanding of what it is going on at the gallery and what it is about your work. And we look forward to continue working with you.
Thank you so much.